at 9.
Good evening and welcome to Primetime News, live from the Newsfirst Centre here in Colombo. I'm Madhushka Balasuriya.
I'm Minoshi Ratnasekara. Let's start off with the headlines for tonight.
The headlines on Newsfirst at 9.
National grid loses 465 megawatts of electricity due to failure of several power plants. Risk of power disruptions on the rise. The visiting Maldivian president comments on his salary.
State ministers, deputy ministers, all the political appointments salaries have been slashed. My own salary has been slashed by 50%.
The chairman of the Tangol Pradesh Sabha remanded.
Newsfirst at 9.
The Ceylon Electricity Board says that power failures at the Nurachole, Kalanithissa, Rantambe and Randanigala power plants could result in power outages in the near future.
That's right. Deputy General Manager on Enterprise and Operations Strategies at the CEB, Senator Dasanayaka, said that the power outages will take place automatically.
465 megawatts of power of the national total electricity demand is generated from the Nurachole, Kalanithissa, Rantambe and Randanigala power plants. Due to the technical failures at these power plants, the national grid has lost a total of 465 megawatts of power.
There was a malfunction in one of the circuit breakers of a generator at the Randanigala power plant this morning. Therefore, the whole of the Randanigala power plant had to be shut down. Electricity generation at the Rantambe power plant was suspended. The water capacity at the Karsalvi reservoir is at 53%, while the water capacity at the Kotmalek reservoir is at 55%. The water capacity at the Victoria reservoir is 54%, while the water capacity at the Randanigala reservoir is 72%. The water capacity at the Samanala tank is at 52%. The water capacity at the Mausakala reservoir has dropped to 15.4%.
The combined circuit power plant in Kalanithissa, which met with a technical malfunction on Thursday, is yet to be completely repaired. The national electricity grid loses 55 megawatts of power due to this. Meanwhile, the national grid loses 300 megawatts of power as Norochole power plant, which malfunctioned on the 5th. The national grid also loses 110 megawatts of power due to the malfunctioning of the Rantambe and Randanigala power plants. The Ceylon Electricity Board says that power cuts are likely to occur if the technical failure at the Norochole power plant is not rectified and if the Central Hills do not receive sufficient rainfall in the coming month.
This issue has arisen because of the construction of substandard power plants and because the CEB has no proper vision to maintain them. The government is yet to intervene to resolve the issue of the Norochole power plant with China in a diplomatic manner. The administration issues between the electricity engineers and the operation engineers over the control of these power plants is yet to be resolved. If this situation continues, the entire country will face power cuts in the next month. We have received information about unannounced power cuts. If this situation continues by February, they will inform the public and enforce power cuts. However, the government will not compensate the losses incurred on the economy and the people and the CEB.
Visiting Maldivian President Abdullah Yamin Abdul Gayoom has said that the Maldives will support Sri Lanka at any given time.
Yes, he made this statement when he met President Mahinda Rajapaksa at the President's office this morning.
Citing economic development and the peace and stability currently prevailing in Sri Lanka, visiting Maldivian President Abdullah Yamin had said that the people of the Maldives commend this remarkable achievement. He had added that the peace and prosperity of Sri Lanka will also benefit the Maldives. President Mahinda Rajapaksa commended President Abdullah Yamin on the recent election victory and for the peaceful political transformation that took place in the island nation. President Mahinda Rajapaksa had added that the Maldivian people and the Maldives will reach full economic potential under the guidance of President Yamin. Following the bilateral talks, Sri Lanka and the Maldives inked 3 memorandums of understanding.
Now, addressing a media briefing in Colombo this evening, Maldivian President Abdullah Yamin noted that he reduced his salary by 50% in order to reduce government expenditure.
The visiting head of state also spoke about this morning's meeting with President Mahinda Rajapaksa.
I've had a very successful, very fruitful trip to Sri Lanka. Had extensively good discussion with the President and also with his Council of Ministers. The areas we have covered are areas of mutual interest to Sri Lanka as well as Maldives. And more particularly, some of the areas we have taken are areas that are more relevant to the diaspora Maldivian population living here. The agreements we have signed include combating transnational crime, vocational training, areas of sports, because we have lots of similar agreements with Colombo. The kinship we have between the Sri Lankan people and Maldivian people, that is very strong, and probably the relationship we have with Colombo is at all-time high. So,
Meanwhile, the Maldivian president also addressed allegations that the expenditure of his government was high.
the allegation is not on my government. Allegation is what is inherited from the former two governments. So what I have proposed to do is to cut down salaries. In fact, if you have been observing Maldivian situation, state ministers, deputy ministers, all the political appointments, salaries have been slashed. My own salary has been slashed by 50%. I chose not to reside in a presidential palace. I chose to reside in my private home. So this is in order to see whether the rest of the institutions follow suit.
Meanwhile, UMPA parliamentarian Ravi Karunanayake visited the Maldivian president today.
And now moving on to some business news. The Business Forum of Sri Lanka Maldives Bilateral Business Council was held in Colombo yesterday.
The forum was part of a 3-day official visit to the island by the Maldivian president.
The business forum was attended by ministers and business delegations from both countries.
Regular exchange of business delegations between our two countries would further enhance strong trade partnerships and relationships. Hence, we wish to extend our sincere invitation to you to consider organizing at least 2 delegations from Maldives to visit Sri Lanka, and we are glad to reciprocate similar arrangements by organizing trade investment promotional missions to Maldives regularly. We wish to propose that a forum should be set up with public and private entities in both countries to sit together and analyze the impediments we face to develop trade, investment and tourism, with a view to mitigate such issues and constructively build a conducive business environment in both countries. Our Council is glad to extend our fullest cooperation to facilitate such a forum in either Sri Lanka or the Republic of Maldives.
Sri Lanka and Maldives have been friendly and reliable neighbors who have helped each other in both good and challenging times. It is said that more than 10,000 Maldivian nationals live in Sri Lanka. The main reason for this migration is education and health. Coming to Sri Lanka for educational purposes has become somewhat of a tradition among Maldivians. Since the latter part of the 19th century, many Maldivians have studied here, including 4 presidents of your country. Both Sri Lanka and Maldives are poised to venture into an economically prosperous future. The government of both countries have worked hand in hand with the respective private sectors to realize these aspirations. As friendly neighbors who have always stood by each other, let us work in harmony towards achieving this goal.
Now in more local stories, the individual who was allegedly kidnapped by a group of people in Rapkama was found today.
There's great news in Oshi. Police media spokesperson SSP Ajit Rohan has stated that the kidnapped individual had been released in the Benthota area last night.
The victim has informed the police that on the 4th of January, a group of people took him in a van, stating that they required him to give a statement. He was released early last morning in Benthota after being held hostage in a lonely house for 18 days. The victim has been identified as Anra Zoisa, who is a driving instructor and a resident of Busa. I do not know to which part of the country I was taken to. When I was taken there, they put me into a room. I was in that room right throughout until I was brought back. I had to eat, bathe and even use the bathroom in that room. But these people did not assault me. I was only asked if I sell drugs and if I extort money. If I'm a person like that, I do not have to do a job that pays me 25,000 rupees. I do not know what route they used to bring me back as I was blindfolded. After his disappearance, the residents in the area protested on the 7th and the 11th of this month. The flow of motor traffic on the Galle-Colombo main road was also hindered due to the protest held on the 11th.
Now moving into some more business news, the Director General of the Department of Census and Statistics, DCA Gunawardana, has responded to allegations that changes were made to the data which projected last year's economic development.
Yes, Madhushka, he made this statement at a media briefing convened today.
The Director General reiterated that allegations of altering data is being levelled based on a statement made by an officer attached to the department on the preliminary report compiled by the Department of Census and Statistics.
ගරු මන්ත්‍රී අනුර කුමාර දිසානායක මහත්මයා
Parliamentarian Anura Kumara Dissanayake read a letter that was written by the director in our department. However, he did not read out the letter entirely. He read an edited version of it. This problem arose with regard to the first quarter report of 2013. When we requested 3 months worth of data from the T-board, they said they could supply only 2 months worth of data. We used this data and compiled a draft. The figure that we obtained was included into the system. This process is done by the Director General as the head of the department. Until this process is completed, no document can be accepted as the final estimate.
ජාතිගිනුම් බාධයට නිකුත් කරන තෙක් වෙනත් කිසිදු ලියවිල්ලක් අවසන් ඇස්ටිමේට්තුවක් ලෙස පිළිගත නොහැක.
වඩාත් යෝග්‍ය වන්නේ තැන තැන මෙවැනි මත ඉදිරිපත්.
Instead of expressing such views at various forums, it would be better to attend a televised debate on this issue. What I am saying is that in the initial media report on economic growth, the value stood at 5.5. However, this was later amended to 6. I am saying that the values have been altered based on the notes made by the same director who made this report.
Now moving into more local news, in a grisly story we here at Newsfirst have been covering quite closely. Another 3 human skeletal remains have been discovered during excavations conducted at the site in Tirukethiswaram Manor.
Now, according to the police media spokesperson SSP Ajit Rohana, the latest discovery increased the number of human skeletal remains unearthed at the site to 42.
The police media spokesperson went on to say that the excavation will continue at the site. The remains were first discovered on the 20th of December last year during construction work to lay a water supply line. Subsequently, excavation commenced at the site under the supervision of the Manor District Magistrate.
Switching over to news from Parliament, MP Anura Kumara Dissanayake raised a question in Parliament today on the money that was spent to construct the Ranmanitanna Telecinema village and its present status.
සියල්ල සඳහන් කළ තියෙනවා 2013 දශලක්ෂ 133
මා නිශ්චිත ලෙසම ඔබතුමන් අහලා තියෙනවා එම ගම්මාන විවෘත කිරීමේ අවස්ථා දෙක සඳහා ඔබතුමා කියන අවස්ථා දෙකක් නෙවෙයි එකයි කියලා එකක් වුවත් සිදු කළ වියදම් වෙන්වෙන් වශයෙන් කවරේද කියලා
විශේෂයෙන් සඳහන් කළ නැහැ වර්ෂීය වියදම් තමයි දාලා තියෙන්නේ.
ඔය කියන්නේ අදාළ ප්‍රශ්නෙට අදාළ පරිදි උත්තරේ නැහැ කියන එක ඔබතුමා කියන්නේ.
ඒ ප්‍රශ්නේ එතන අඩුවක් තියෙනවා. ඒක තමයි.
එද ඔබතුමා ඒක
නැවත ඒ අවශ්‍ය කරුණට පිළිතුරක් ලබා දෙන්න.
ඒක තමයි තුමා ප්‍රශ්නේ අත්‍යවශ්‍යම කැලල. ඔබතුමාගේ මගහැරලා තියෙන්නේම ප්‍රශ්නේ උත්තරේ මගහැරලා තියෙනම ඕනම කොටස.
හරි ඒක ලබා දෙන්න.